President Obama visiting the Phoenix hospital that was in the middle of the Veterans Affairs scandal last year. The scandal uncovered veterans dying while waiting for care at that Phoenix facility, and staffers at VA clinics across the country keeping secret waiting lists to cover up problems. So is the problem solved now? Here to weigh in, a bang-up panel. Jessie Duff, a retired gunnery sergeant for the U.S. Marine Corps and a senior fellow at the London Center for Policy Research. And Dan Caldwell, a Marine Corps veteran and legislative director of the Concerned Veterans for America. Welcome to you both. Great to have you here. Jessie, I will start with you. Today's event was billed as a quest for input from reformers for the VA, was it?
Well, I don't find that it's reformed anything. The fact is that the president neglected to go to Phoenix when he was there on his last visit, and now this is a do-over on his part. This did not get national attention with the scandals going on within the VA until those 40 veterans died. Phoenix is ground zero of all of the veterans scandals that have happened, and yet this is his first attempt to show that he is sending an olive branch over. Right now, Sharon Hellman was on paid leave and made over $90,000. She was the director of this facility until they fired her. So this has gone on for a very long period of time. There were 75 people investigated, and yet only 8 have been fired who were handling these backlogs in appointments.
Well, Dan, I want to go right to that with comments directly from the president only moments ago. What he said is, the fact is, there have been a few bad apples, like the woman you just mentioned. I don't want that to detract from the fine work individuals have done within this organization. Dan, does that ring true to you?
No, this is not just a few bad apples. There are over 1,000 employees across the VA that are under investigation for manipulating wait lists, for covering up the true wait times of VA hospitals, and this is 2/3 of VA hospitals are under investigation for having some type of secret wait list or appointment manipulation. This is not just a few bad apples. This is a rotten, toxic culture across the Department of Veterans Affairs. Now, there are good employees. We would not know about this were it not for brave whistleblowers, but the fact of the matter is that this is not just a few isolated cases. Well, this is system-wide. We
are going to have one of those whistleblowers on in just moments. But in the meantime, Jessie, I just want to remind people what's at stake here, what's happened. 1,700 people kept on secret waiting lists in Phoenix. 18 died waiting for care there. The average wait time for a first appointment, 115 days. Now, the last time we had you on the show, Jessie, I got tweets from people despondent, terribly upset. People who either were veterans or were related to veterans saying they're just warehousing us. They're just keeping us in the queue. They don't intend to give us coverage. People have lost faith in the VA. Do you agree?
Oh, absolutely. Veterans have little or no confidence in the VA. There are over 22 million veterans in this country. Everybody knows a veteran or is a veteran. And the fact of the matter is that this isn't a partisan issue. This is an American issue. Many veterans have died waiting for care, and many we will never know about because so many records have already been destroyed by the VA itself. So this is a culture that we have not been able to correct in itself. And the president has been negligent because it took him years to address the problems, and it wasn't until the 40 veterans died in Phoenix that Secretary Shinseki resigned. Yet the scandals have been brought to their attention since he had taken office.
Right. I agree. Dan, to you. So your organization is quoted or described, actually, on the editorial page of the Arizona Republic today. They say Concerned Veterans for America has produced the most significant reform proposal for the VA hospital system. What is it?
The end of last month, we rolled out what we call the Veterans Independence Act, which is a comprehensive 100-page document that will fundamentally transform how veterans receive their health care. We make several key recommendations. The first is to turn the VA healthcare system into a nonprofit, to offer veterans a private health care insurance option, and to provide better oversight for the VA, and most importantly, in my mind, reorient the VA back towards its original mission of caring for service-connected disabled veterans. Now, you have never seen a document like this before. Most of the other reform plans are very vague. They only make changes on the margins. But the Arizona Republic endorsed it. Others have come out and endorsed it, both Republicans and Democrats. This was a bipartisan document. This was not just one group of people from one party getting in a room and putting something out.
But Dan, you weren't even on the panel today. Where was your organization? Why weren't they there?
I'm actually glad we weren't involved. This was a political
invited,
dog and
right?
pony.
Wasn't that the issue? You weren't invited.
Yes, I am glad we weren't invited because, quite frankly, it would have been a waste of our time. This was a dog and pony show. This was something they did for the cameras to show the president and the secretary are actually making a real effort to reform and fix the VA. But they're not. They promote this new commission, or excuse me, this new advisory committee. That's the last thing the VA needs, is another committee, another layer of bureaucracy. It's completely worthless.
Jessie, to you, there's something that's been recommended called a choice card. And it seems to me, just from what I'm reading, that the government is trying to prevent people from using it. And this, explain what it is and what's going on here.
Okay, so this is what's fascinating, is that just a few months ago, Congress passed legislation that was signed by the president that would allow veterans to get care who have been waiting over 30 days or live more than 40 miles from a hospital. $10 billion. Well, guess what? The Obama administration in the 2016 budget has already tried to reallocate that $10 billion into other programs. $10 billion that they don't want to even allow these veterans to get care. They make it very difficult. The paperwork is extensive, and many veterans have even had derogatory information on their credit reports by the VA because they haven't failed. I'm sorry, the VA has not paid the bills and it's gone on their credit report. So we've got a problem here when veterans don't even have a choice to what care they can get and are left waiting in limbo by the Veterans Administration.
It's appalling and it's astonishing. 22 million vets, a quarter of them use VA facilities, and 22 a day are committing suicide.
Yes.
It's astonishing. Jessie and Dan, thank you so much.
Thank you, Jerry.
Thank you for having me.